They pointed out they have in their common room a very beautiful mural, and they were pointing out to some of the folks on my team that it would be really awesome if there were some way that FISB could support the development of that sort of public art project. So 4 years later, we are now at the 4th annual FISB Mural Contest for Runaway and Homeless Youth Programs. And how that works is that every year at this conference, we announce the opening of the next year's mural contest. So 2015 is now open. And programs are encouraged to sit down with a group of youth to put together a sketch and a one-page sort of explanation of the sketch of what they would like to design in their programs. We've had 4 winners. A couple of them have actually painted on walls. A couple have painted on canvases to hang on walls, so it doesn't have to be, on your wall. But in any case, then all of those last year, I think we had 11 entries in the competition, and the judges are 5 federal staff from FISB and 5 young people from the previous year's winning organization. Judge those entries based on sort of the concept and also the collaborative way that the concept was put together. So in any case, Deb is going to introduce the winners from this past year. They actually knew that they won earlier this spring and have now had this period of time to actually develop and paint the mural. The prize for the competition is a gift card from Home Depot to actually purchase the supplies to bring the mural into reality. So in any case, please, in your bags that you got from the conference, there's a flyer that explains how to get the application form to submit for this upcoming year's mural contest. I think our deadline is January 31st. So now's the time to start planning your mural entries for this upcoming year. Anyway.
Thank you. And these. Hi, I'm Deborah Oppenheim from the San Francisco Regional Office. I have the extreme, I have the honor of presenting the NCFY Mural Winner Award to the representatives here. I want to give just a little background on the organization. The Los Angeles LGBT Center has been serving LGBT people since 1969, and since we are impressed that RHYA was authorized in 1974, think of an extra 5 years that LGBT Center has been providing services. There are 450 employees and 3,000 volunteers working at the center. They serve more LGBT people than any organization in the world. They strengthen the global LGBT movement by mentoring and developing a new generation of LGBT leaders. On that note, I would like to recognize and introduce from the Youth Center on Highland, the Los Angeles LGBT Center, Kimora and Ariel. And I also have this beautiful plaque which recognizes their first place winning for the contest this year. And this is so cool. We in FISB have done a wonderful job of rebranding, and we have, some of you may have noticed, beautiful FISB pins. And I have a FISB pin for Kimora and Ariel, each of them, not just one. You don't have to share. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Aria, and to my right is Kamara Law. We are youth ambassadors representing the Youth Center on Highland, who engage with members there by being the voice to the voiceless. We work with our staff in voicing about programs and services to be youth-centered, creating activities, all while making the center a safer place. We want to first thank everyone who was a part of giving us this opportunity to create such a beautiful mural.
The mural was due part of our new program. We call it the Good Neighbor Program, which allows us and our youth within the community to give back. We have conversations with our neighborhood, with those who reside within, to make it a better, safer, and cleaner environment for everyone. These actions are community cleanups, community events, community gatherings, and conversations about issues we have within our community.
This mural, titled Like a Good Neighbor, A Community Always There, was created by a youth named Veronica Muller. This mural depicts our neighborhood and what is important to us. We place different buildings and businesses around the mural that work in creating a supportive, safe, and understanding home for all of us to gather in. The buildings would encompass the entire mural, and we will have words that move around the buildings that tell us what a good neighborhood is. The hands on the lower right side represent a community coming in harmony and working together to build a good neighborhood. If you look closely, you can see the various fingerprints of different organizations and members that are in our community. To tell you a bit about some of the buildings and how we work together.
The Youth Center on Highland. Here we see hundreds of runaway homeless members a week to help with bed, breakfast, lunch, dinner, STI, HIV testing, showers, case management, and various groups and activities. We have an education center which helps the members obtain their GED and other information about their education. We have a job center which helps with resume, cover letters, and job search, and we promote youth positive development. The Youth Center on Highland works with the community in hosting community meetings, facilitating community cleanups, and other community engagement opportunities.
The Village at Edgell Plaza is our multi-purpose building for the LA LGBT Center, which houses our art galleries, 2 theaters, and a beautiful courtyards. AIDS Life Cycle LifeWorks, which is a youth empowerment program, and tons of programming dedicated to leadership and social policy, HIV prevention, and so much more. The Hollywood Schoolhouse, one of our community partners who also helped come and bring this mural to life. This is an elementary school that is located right next to the Youth Center, and whom we work with on Big Sunday in planting trees and beautifying our community.
There are various buildings in this photo that inspires our community center together as we create a good neighbor. On behalf of all the youth and staff at the LA LGBT Youth Center on Highland in Los Angeles, California, we thank you for appreciating our interpretation on what we believe it takes to build a good community.
What a beautiful mural and a fantastic speech that was just given by the 2 youth from LA Gay and Lesbian Agency. Right now I'd like to just, let's give them one more round of applause, and to the others that submitted murals for the competition. Now I get the honor to introduce Matt Diergo. All right. Matt is the founder and CEO of A Reason to Survive, a nationally recognized not-for-profit agency dedicated to changing the life trajectory of children and youth facing adversity through the arts and creativity. Matt worked through arts has been the subject of the Academy Award-winning documentary Innocent, featured on Today's Show, profiled in the New York Times best-selling book Decisive by Chip and Dan Heath. And Matt sits on the National Education Advisory Council for the Americans for the Arts and the, I'm not going to get the, Pomegranate, thank you, Matt. Pomegranate Center National Advisory Board. Matt is sought-after speaker, advocate in advisory of importance of art education, creative youth development, the transformative powers of arts on children and communities, starting and leading not-for-profits and pursuing one passion and purpose in life. Matt, welcome.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Bill, for that introduction. Sounds more impressive than it actually is. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. I was actually asked to give the closing keynote tomorrow at breakfast, and I found a certain comfort in that because I figured most of you would be gone already, and the other half would be sleeping in or half asleep and wouldn't listen to me talk. So I felt it was kind of my safe place to give a speech. And then they contacted me and asked me to be bumped up to the luncheon, which I was honored. I feel like I'm amongst my peers. We're all doing incredible work, incredibly hard work, trying to move the needle forward and helping youth facing some of life's most difficult challenges to find safety, love and belonging, and a sense of hope. Hope is a powerful force for change, and it's kind of the foundation of the work we do at A Reason to Survive. And so today, I'd just like to share a few stories, my personal story of why I started arts, the story of arts itself and how we do what we do, and a couple of stories of our students. Now, I'll be showing a number of slides and a couple of videos to distract from my talking and maybe find some more enjoyment in visual aspect of my talk. So, what's my story? I was very fortunate growing up as a youngster. I came from a stable home. I had two loving parents, but I struggled. I had a lot of advantages that most kids would only dream of. But I struggled because academically I wasn't strong in school. I had a really hard time learning. Socially, I felt a little out of place and awkward. I was uncomfortable in my own skin, and I just didn't know where I fit in. I was distracted easily and sought out attention in other ways, which usually resulted in negative things happening, like being sent to my room or the principal's office. And I really viewed myself as a failure. Although on the outside, I put up a brave front, and I had exuded this false self-confidence. Internally, I was full of self-doubt, full of insecurities, and I wasn't filled with a lot of joy. I was very unhappy. And then in 6th grade came a turning point for me. I was in my 6th grade class with Mrs. Ferguson, and we were doing an art lesson. And I had always loved art. And she was an artist, and I looked up to her. And one day, she said 5 words that changed my life trajectory forever. We were doing an art lesson, and she came up behind me and said, "Wow, that is really great." And all the kids in the class gathered around, shared her excitement. And all of a sudden, I wasn't a failure anymore. I had an identity. I was the artist in class. I was good at something. And that's why today I feel when they're cutting arts education out of schools and out of the communities and cutting access to youth engagement in the arts, it's one of the truest forms of identity theft. Not allowing youth, like myself, to find their true creative selves and identity. And it's devastating. So, reflecting back on that moment, it taught me 3 lessons and values that kind of drive the work that I do today. And hopefully this works. We're having some difficulty earlier. Is there any way to dim the lights as well so you can see the slides better? So first, one person has an incredible power to make a difference in the lives of others, even with just 5 words. 2, never underestimate the power of your words, both negative, positive and negative. And that having a positive self-identity is key to having a sense of self-value and finding a sense of purpose in life. Too often, the youth that we work with are given false identities by society. They're homeless, runaways, abused, mentally ill. These aren't their true identities. These are temporary external circumstances that they're facing. But unfortunately, they hear it enough over and over and over again that they start believing that's who they really are and that it defines them. All it takes is a caring person. We've got 700 of them in the room here today. To take some time to pay attention, to listen, and to see the innate talents and passions of these youth and bring it out and support them. It can move mountains, trust me. So, back to me. Art became my go-to. It became my refuge. Every time I needed to escape the world and the world was a little overwhelming for me, I could go to my art. And that time especially came for me when I was 19 years old and I was studying art in college. And my mom and my sister were both diagnosed with cancer within a few months of each other. And so I took that year off of college and I stayed home, cared for them with my dad and my other sisters. But every day I would escape to my bedroom, close the door, put on music, and paint. And hours would disappear. The whole world would disappear and hours would fly by. And at the end, I'd find myself in a totally transformed place. I was filled with joy, my outlook on life had improved, and I was filled with hope. There's that word again, hope, that tomorrow would be better. And it wasn't just because of the art, but the way the art made me feel. And so one day, one of those days when I was up there, and my mom, we had her on a hospice. I remember going up to my room and really being in a bad place. And I closed the door, put on music, and started to paint. And transformation took place. And it struck me. If it worked for me, I knew it would work for other youth like me who were facing their own pain and their own struggles. You know, pain and despair is all the same, but it really just takes different forms depending on the circumstances. So I knew I wanted to give that same opportunity. I had my bedroom to go to, a safe place. I wanted to create an art center for kids to come to, express themselves, and use the arts to find themselves and turn their outlook and lives around. Let me see here. I got lost for a minute, sorry. I get caught up in the story and I lose my place, not looking down. So, again, you know, I even came up with the name at that point too. It was I was listening to a song. It's called "Touch of Grey," and there was a lyric in there that says, "I will get by, I will survive." And I wrote that down. I said, "Yeah, you know, art gives me a reason to survive." And I said, "A-R, a reason to survive. A-R-T-S. That's it." So I really took that I was given my purpose in life at a very early age. So 10 years later, I was finally at a time and place in my life to launch arts. And it was in 2001, and my first lesson in starting a nonprofit, I don't know if anybody here has started a nonprofit before, but we all work in them. It's kind of hard to raise money. Anybody else have that issue of raising money for your nonprofit? The second lesson I learned was adaptability and flexibility. So I knew that an arts center wouldn't be on the immediate horizon, so we pivoted and we created an outreach program to bring the arts to children in hospitals and homeless shelters and domestic violence shelters and group homes. And we grew that over a period of 6 years. And finally, we gained enough momentum and community support to open our first art center, which was a beautiful space. It was 7,000 square feet. It had a visual art space. It had a media arts, music, even had a gallery to showcase and sell the kids' artwork. And we were there for about 5 years. And then an opportunity came to us about 2 years ago to move into a larger space in a part of town that desperately needed our services. And so we moved into a 20,000 square foot art center in National City, California. And I'll talk about the Art Center briefly. But over the past 14 years, arts has grown way beyond me, which is great, which was my intent the whole time. It's grown into a nationally recognized and award-winning program that serves over 2,500 youth annually in the San Diego region. So that's my story and the story of why arts exist, because I truly believe in the transformative power of the arts with youth. So I'd like to kind of show our program in action. And I need to set up this video, this trailer, real quickly. A couple of years ago, I was approached by a couple of filmmakers, Sean and Andrea Fine, and they're filmmakers out of Washington, D.C., and they wanted to do a documentary on resilience. And they had seen a statistic that 1 in 45 youth in America experience homelessness, and they were shocked by that. We're not, because we work in the field, but so they decided that's what they wanted to focus the film on youth homelessness. And they were very specific. They wanted to create a film about a homeless teenager who dreamt of being an artist. And they'd been searching the country for about a year. They'd find the right artist, but not the right story, but not the right artist. And one day they came across an article online about a reason to survive. And they picked up the phone and called me. I picked up the other end. And thus began a 2-year journey of creating a short documentary called Innocente. And some of you might have heard of it, some of you might have seen it. It's won a lot of awards. As mentioned, it won the Academy Award in 2013. And so I think it's a great example of the work we do with youth. Oh, thank you. So I'd like to show the trailer of that film real quick, and hopefully this works.
This is kind of weird. Okay. Dear people of the world. Just because I'm homeless doesn't mean I don't have a life, because I do have it. I'm a girl who likes to jump in puddles and likes flowers. When I paint, I feel happy, so it's a good way to start my mornings. Just paint on something. And what better place than my face?
Every student is to present today.
Kids at my school don't know that I'm homeless. If people would find out, they'd probably make fun of me. Not having a home is like not having somewhere safe to go to.
Lo tomé del brazo y le dije, vente, vámonos para aquel puente que está allá y nos vamos a aventar al mar tú y yo. No te quiero escuchar llorar.
And I'm still waiting for that one day. That will change my life. I think my life depends on me being an artist. I think if I don't become an artist, I probably not just let everyone down, but mostly let myself down. And although people think they know me, they know nothing of my life. The woman's bill I came out of will never know what I drove throughout this life.
Living together right now is not working. There's lots of stress.
Quisiera abrazarla, darle los besos que dejé de darle desde que tenía 6 años.
This is her first opportunity to prove to herself that she's on the right path in life and to show the world who she is and where she's come from.
I don't know if I'm strong or whatever, but I think it's about time that I go my own way.
Thank you. And just for fun and because it's inspirational, I want to show the Academy Awards.
And here are the nominees for Best Documentary Short Subject.
Innocente, Sean Fine and Andrea Nix Fine. Kings Point, Sarah Gilman and Jed Wilder. Mondays at Racine, Cynthia Wade and Robin Honan. Open Heart, Keith Davidson and Corey Shepard Stern. Redemption, John Albert and Matthew O'Neill.
And the Oscar goes to Innocente, Sean Fine and Andrea.
This is the first Academy Award and second nomination for Sean Fine and Andrea Nix Fine. They received their first nomination for their film War Dance in the documentary feature category.
Thank you so much for this. I just want to thank quickly our amazing producer, Albie Heck, who went the distance with us, and Susan, and Yael, and Ryan, and Jeff in particular, are incredible editors with us on all our artistic exploits.
And most of all, we want to thank you for She was homeless just a year ago, and now she's standing in front of all of you. And she's an artist, and all of you are artists, and we feel like we need to start supporting the arts. They're dying in our communities, and all of us are artists, and we need to stand up and help girls like her be seen and heard. It's so important.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was great to get the issue of Innocente and youth homelessness on the national stage. It's powerful. I mean, the power of art and the art of film to literally change a child's life. And I know that's a very unique circumstance. But to tell you the truth, in the work that we do, even with great successes, come many challenges. With that whole experience, there were challenges before, during, and after the film. And like we know, not everything is always tied with a nice bow. But Innocente is doing very well right now. She's pursuing her dream and living on her own and being an artist, so it's a good thing. But as I said, everybody here has their own success stories. Everybody here has their own struggles and perceived failures. It's tough work we do. And, we have this, if we could still keep the lights down just so we can see the slides a little bit better, thank you. We all want to move children and youth from point A to point B in a straight line, but we all know, even in our own lives, that it's not a straight line, and especially with the youth that we work with, their shifting circumstances and obstacles, that reality looks more like this, where you've got your plan and then you throw it out the window because you got to work in that reality. So how do we do that? Well, just like the youth that we work with, we all need hope. We all need to believe that the work we do today is going to make a better tomorrow for the kids we're working with, and we all need inspiration, and that's the value and the beauty of these conferences, where we can all come together and learn from each other, support each other, and hopefully inspire each other to keep fighting the important fight that we're in. There's no silver bullet to solve complex problems like homelessness or runaway youth or mental illness, but the whole of our efforts, hold on a second, back up. The whole of our efforts is greater than the sum of its parts. And there's 700 success stories right here, probably multiple. I mean, we've got thousands of success stories in this room, but by sharing them and learning from each other and inspiring each other, that can create a ripple effect. And that's when we can really start moving the needle, by working together. And although my focus today is about art and creative youth development, art is just a vehicle. It can be replaced with sports, academics, technology, whatever sparks the innate passions and talents of the youth that you work with. The key to finding is what sparks their interest and their joy, and then using that as a springboard to engage them and create strong and mutual bonds so you can really create change within the youth. So it sounds easy. How do we do that? And I'm sure we all have our different approaches here that we could all speak about. I can just talk about what arts does. And it's going to sound pretty simple when I say it, but we call it the 3 Ps. We got programs, well-designed programs that meet children where they're at, and that can look different each day of the week. We've got place. We put a tremendous amount of effort and focus on the place where we gather the kids together, the Art Center. Environments and place can change behaviors. I've seen it time and time again. So place is a critical part of our mission. And then the people that have the values and build the culture within the place and the programs to truly impact youth. And that's our secret recipe. It's not really secret. We're all doing it every day. But what shifted for us is when we called it out, when we actually said and created some structure and strategy around these three core areas, that's when we started really seeing an immense increase in the impact that we're having on the youth and engagement and retention of youth. And so, let's look at each one of those briefly. For our programs, we have 3 programs: Heal, Inspire, and Empower. So Heal focuses on therapeutic arts programming, Inspire is formal arts education, and then Empower is college, career, and life preparation. And so it's a long-time program model that we created to bring kids from crisis to college or career using the arts and creativity. Now, each one of those levels is tied into Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the HEAL program is focused on creating safety and love and belonging. The Inspire program is focused on building self-confidence and self-esteem. And the Empower program is focused on self-actualization. And we don't kid ourselves. We don't believe that a 15 or 16-year-old will find self-actualization, but we're trying to hone them in and put them on the path where they can find that. And so, therapeutic arts. Here's Porter. You can see he's enjoying the process. It's not about the product. It's about engaging in the arts, in the experience of the arts, and building strong bonds and connections with his artist mentor. And actually with Porter, him and his dad were having a really hard time connecting with each other, and this was the form that it took. His dad looks just as messy as him when he's working with them. But again, it's focused on the therapeutic aspect. Porter was not in a position to be focused on other areas. We needed that therapeutic approach to meet him where he's at. Arts education is focused more on the product, building self-confidence and self-esteem through skill building and mastery of medium. And that's where it really focuses on teaching kids to play music or to paint or to draw or to write poetry. It's more of the product. And then our final stage in the program is our Empower program. And this is really an apprenticeship model for high school youth to explore various options in the creative industries or arts field. And basically, it's a jobs program, it's an internship program, it's a mentorship program that allows youth to build the life skills needed to succeed in life. They have to fill out an application for the program, they have to do an interview, there's a job description, there's accountability, they set short-term, intermediate, and long-term goals. If you ask youth what they want to accomplish and what their dreams and goals are, and then you work with them to set up a plan to achieve them, it's amazing the engagement and retention that you have. And the key is to be non-judgmental about it. We've got lots of youth that come with us with various goals and dreams that most people would think are silly or might demean and say, oh, that's nice. I mean, even Innocente at one point wanted to join the circus. So we got her trapeze lessons. And so it's taking the kids seriously and really helping them to accomplish their goals and dreams. And although we designed this as a long-term program model to bring kids from point A to point B, because the longer the model, the longer the relationship, the deeper the impact, we realized pretty quickly that, remember this slide? Kids' circumstances change. So we still have that model over the long term, but we also always use it as a framework as well, because a child might be in the Empower program, but something might happen to get them off track for a week, months, or even a year, and then we have to adjust our approach to be a more therapeutic approach to get them back on track. But we always have that intention to progress them along the long-term trajectory of our program path. So let's take a look at the second P in the puzzle, place. As you saw in the trailer, not having a home is like not having a safe place to go to. So we're located in National City, California, just about 5 minutes from downtown San Diego. National City is the poorest neighborhood per capita in San Diego County. It's got some of the highest rates of violent crime, domestic violence, unemployment, homelessness, gang activity, and blight. And so we're right where we need to be. The city of National City had the foresight. They realized the situation that's going on in National City, and they wanted to change it. And they want to change it by changing the environment, by physically changing the look of National City, doing it through art, design, and arts-based community engagement. And so we moved to National City to activate the Art Center and become a partner with the city to transform not just the Art Center, but the community at large. And so the facility that we moved into, the city built a new library probably 8 years ago. Beautiful, beautiful library, state of the art. It's a great place. And the old library, they said, well, let's turn it into an art center to create a hub to do all this transformation. They had some money left over, redevelopment money. They reconfigured the whole place. And then they had nobody to run it. The city had no money, so they had the facilities, but they had nobody to run it. And there were some nonprofits in there that were using it, but not open to the community. So this building was closed to the community for 5 years. And then we happened upon it, and we struck a deal with the city. So, as I said, environment is extremely important. That safe, creative, inspirational place for our kids. And we didn't raise millions of dollars to move to this facility. We didn't do a big campaign. What we had was sweat equity. We had the artists, we had the designers, and more importantly, we had the kids. And that's really an important part of our process, inclusion of kids in every aspect of the program. They help with our program design. They lead the look of the Art Center. And so you'll see their handprints are all over it. And it empowers them. It gives them a sense of ownership. It's their facility. And so, here's a picture of our place. So there's 2 buildings, actually. The Art Center, the main building, and then we've got Performing Arts building. That's a second facility. And so you can see the kids are the ones that are actually creating the interior of it. Because it was a beautiful place, but to tell you, it was not inspiring. We walked in there, and you'll see in a minute, it's like eggshell white walls and brown trim. It was just like, ugh. So we needed to start at the Art Center and make that a vibrant hub. And so the kids took control, and there's Kelsey measuring some shelves. So this is our entrance, and the kids created our big splat art sign in our industrial arts department. You come into the lobby. One of the good things the city did was they put on this big glass atrium, so there's lots of light coming into the lobby. But this is what the lobby looked like. I don't know if we can tell really, but you guys think it's inspiring? So the kids turned it into this. And I tell you, it costs about $100. I mean, we leverage every cent we have. The most expensive thing was the paint. If you looked at front, we do a lot of recycling and upcycling. So our front desk are 2 old pianos. We had to buy those paper umbrellas. Our new donor giving tree, those are all branches that were cut down or fell down in the park behind the center. And so we cut them into discs, lacquered them, and created this beautiful art installation. This is our gallery. It's very important to showcase the kids' artwork in a professional manner. And this gallery could be in any wealthy neighborhood in San Diego. It's a beautiful spot. It's got beautiful lighting too. One of our hallways, I mean, I feel like I'm in prison looking at this. It's like, would you want to be here and this get inspired? So you turn it into, again, paint and AstroTurf because it's cool. But these are all paintings of artists and musicians that inspire our youth, and they've got quotes, inspirational quotes all over it. So it makes you feel different, doesn't it? I mean, sitting in this room, it makes you feel different, going from that to that. Imagine walking into that. Imagine walking into this environment coming from a very blighted community where there isn't a lot of color yet. This was our music room. This is right when we're moving in, so we haven't moved anything in. Turned it into great space. Paint. We needed storage. You see those white in the background, there's all that white storage. We found old bookshelves in the basement. We got doors from Habitat for Humanity, and the handles are broken instruments. $85 to make that storage. And same with the sound booth. That's everything's from Habitat for Humanity. So again, just a change in environment. This isn't a good picture, but this is our visual arts space. Turned it into, there's that peacock those kids were working on. This is our industrial arts, so fabrication, carpentry, welding. This is what it should look like, and this is what it actually looks like during the week. I love seeing that, though. We got a grant from the California Arts Council to create a mini business of upcycled furniture and public art. So these are some of the youth working after school with one of our guys, Sean, to create that. This was that second building, which had this horrid red color. I don't know if you can see it, but it hurt your eyes to go in. So the kids mellowed it out a little bit, put in a dance floor, and it's their space. Even our little resource library, mix it up. Always trying to show kids creative ways of looking at things. And this is our most recent, this will be our media arts department. It's in a different location right now, but so once we finish this, hopefully next month or two, that it'll complete the interior of the building. And now we're starting to focus on the outside of the building and the perimeter of the art center. One of the first installations we put up, we wanted to put up a community piano. And we're told no. It's going to get tagged, it's going to get stolen, it's going to get trashed, and all it does is get played, and by the most surprising people sometimes. This is Bobby. He comes to us every day, along with like 10 other people. Bobby. I just think it's beautiful on so many different levels. And so, as I said, we've started on the outside and we're starting to go out into the community and partner with the community on transforming and identifying blighted or misused places in the community that they want to transform. And so this is something we just did. It's Butterfly Park. Not a lot of butterflies, but there was a lot of illegal activity going on. And so the neighbors said, we want to take this back. And so we partnered with the neighborhood, went through a 4-month community engagement process with them. Our students worked with landscape architects, designers, artists, and all the neighbors to transform the space into more of a beautiful community gathering place that they own. Same with this space. This is a vista overlooking City Heights, another location in San Diego, and you can see like the fence and the barbed wire. There's a neighborhood behind that. And we pulled 39 needles out of this space. And there's a lot of encampment there. But we engaged the community and transformed it, if we can see it. We took down that fence, opened it up to the community, and now everybody had their hands in it. They come out and they bring their families, and it's a beautiful gathering place for the kids. And to have our kids work with everybody in the community, work with all these artists and designers and people that do this for a living, it's such a great engagement mechanism. I'm trying to think, hold on. So that's going to bring me to we also do work with schools and businesses. So this is a school, it's very gray, they wanted a community garden, Octopus's garden. And so imagine like the transformation that takes place. Environment is so important, and we feel it here in this room. Imagine the kids and the communities feel. And we're always told, oh, that's going to get tagged or it's going to get trashed. They respect it. People really respect once you create something and the kids are creating it, nobody touches it. And so I want to talk about our final P, and probably the most important P, is people. Arts is basically, there's another quote from the film, arts is basically like a family. Matt and Rob saw potential in me when no one else did. And that's how we treat arts. It's like a family. It sometimes can be a dysfunctional family, but you hear that over and over and over again. When kids come, it's that community feel. We put a lot of time and energy into who we bring into the family. And it's extremely frustrating for candidates who are trying to get hired because it's a very long process and thoughtful process, but we're very careful. We've learned a lot. I don't know if anybody here has ever had any HR or staffing issues or frustrations. We certainly have, but we've learned. And again, including the youth in the process. The youth are part of our hiring process. Everybody gets interviewed by me all the way through the organization. We've got our Empower students, and those are the toughest ones and they really influence decisions on hiring. But to include them in this, it empowers them. They feel like they're part of the family, and they are. And we've actually created an alumni program that we now hire former Empower students to work as staff and teachers for the younger students. And so we need to ensure, this is what kind of the family looks like right now. This is at a recent event. Rob, I'm sorry you're not in this picture. But it's diverse. We have to create a diverse pool of individuals that can reflect and understand the various circumstances our kids are coming from, because we work with youth from a wide range, not just homeless and runaway youth, but LGBT, bullying, domestic violence, terminally and chronically ill. So each of them needs a different approach. And so on paper, everybody looks great. We really drill down into personality, purpose, and passion. We want to know why these people want to be involved with arts. Not for a job, not even for a career. It's their mission. Like, we want to say, why do you want to work here? It's like, and we get to those people, it's not a choice. This is what they're supposed to do. It takes a lot longer, but it's worth it in the end because you've got people that are all on the same page. We might have different backgrounds and personalities, but we're all working towards the same thing, have a common understanding. And it just, the time we invest in it is well worth it. And when we have screwed up, sorry, is that okay to say? We've learned by looking at the bright spots and look, okay, especially in the early years, like, okay, who do we want these people to exemplify? And so we've got, I forgot to fast forward some of these. These are some of our wonderful artists. Richard, Adriana, Judy with Destiny. Look, you can see the love in her face. She's very proud. She loves Destiny. Rob, so that's when Rob had dreadlocks. And, and that's Cassie, who was runaway and homeless, and now she's in her freshman year in college up in Sacramento, so we're very proud of her. So, definitely a round of applause. So when I say look at the bright spots, Rob is a bright spot. Rob was Innocente's mentor. He's a mentor to Cassie, to many other kids, and with Jessica, who you'll hear from in 1 minute. And we're looking at why do people love Rob? Why do kids love Rob? And I think it's because Rob is, he's a kid himself. And so, but when asking the students of what they look for in staff and what Rob reflects, these are some words that I want to read. Mutual respect, unconditional love, honest communication, non-judgmental, respectful, accepting, understanding, empathetic, a good listener, creative, and most importantly, fun. Those are some of those key qualities, and they're not looking for another teacher, principal, or parent, or authoritarian figure, even though all those individuals should be positive, fun role models. Unfortunately, a lot of times they're not. They value that we treat kids like assets, not liabilities. I was even talking with Tammy, I don't know where Tammy is, last night, and I met her last year in Louisville with Innocente, and she told me that she asked Innocente, so what's so special about arts than all the other organizations that you're involved with? And Innocente said that arts is the only one that didn't make her cry and feel bad about herself. So I love hearing that feedback, but I'm sure there were very good qualities about the other organizations as well. It was just hard for her to see at the time. Those are our 3 Ps. It seemed simple. Programs, place, people, and when they all come together, that's where true transformation takes place. But you have to be thoughtful and purposeful about it. We've been doing that for 10, 12 years, and all of a sudden we're like, okay, these are the core components. Let's build strategies around each one of them. So you have to ask yourself, how are you using the 3 Ps? Are your programs well designed and aligned to meet the needs, the ever-changing needs of the students? Is the space and environment you're in created by and owned by the students? Do they look forward to coming there every day? And who are the people engaging the youth? Who are the staff? Would you want to be coming to hang out with your staff every day after school? Or, I mean, do you even want to hang out with the staff you're with? But you don't have to answer that. But just remember that slide I showed earlier. As individuals, one person, you, each one of you guys, has incredible power to make a difference in the lives of others. Your words really matter. I mean, my 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Ferguson, she's passed away now. She has no idea those 5 words brought me here today. So don't underestimate the power of your words. And that's really our job, to help the kids that we work with to find their own positive identity so that they have self-value and that they can find a sense of purpose in life. And so I've been up here for a while, talking and talking. I hope you enjoyed that part. But I could be up here saying how great our programs are and painted looking like a beautiful organization, which it is. But I want to invite one of our students, Jessica, up just to say a couple of words about her experience with arts and why she feels that arts has had an impact on her life. So please welcome Jessica.
Hi. Okay, so 11 months ago, January 1st, 2014, I was at Rady's Children's Hospital, recovering from a massive panic attack and my 6th suicide attempt. I had just turned 17. Art was the only comforting thing at the hospital. You see, I had been through a few things in my life that brought me to this point. After I was born in Mercy Hospital in San Diego, we lived in a homeless shelter, St. Vincent de Paul Village, because my mom's sister and I had no place to stay. I know this because we had pictures of me as a happy baby laughing with my mom and sister in a shelter. After living in the shelter, we moved 3 times before living in one place for 5 years, a trailer home that belonged to a man my mother knew. When we moved in, the man who owned the trailer home only came to visit once a year for 4 years. Then on the 5th year, he came and lived with us. What I remember from the first 4 years in the trailer home is that I loved to draw. I would always have such a great imagination. I still do, but I would just draw a lot of random stuff and just be so creative with it. I would always feel so safe and like no one can bother me. But when that man moved in with us, he said my artwork was bad, and he bullied me about it and made me not really into making art. So I turned to music and I started playing the violin. We had to leave the trailer home because he would scream at me and my sister, and my mom would defend us, so that caused a lot of problems. Next, we lived with my mom's friend Ruby when I was in 5th and 6th grade. At Ruby's house, I got to practice the violin 2 hours a day without anyone really interrupting or complaining. I started to get really good. I worked up to becoming the top violinist in my orchestra. I wrote my own song, and I even got to conduct the whole orchestra. We had the best music teacher. He made me feel like I was worthwhile. While we lived in Ruby's house, my mom met a man who became her boyfriend, and we moved in to his house, and that's when everything started falling apart. I was in middle school. I was growing and changing like any other 12 or 13-year-old. My mom's boyfriend was domestically violent. I was angry, so I stopped making music or art, and I started hurting myself and using drugs. I can see now that those were my coping skills. We only lived with him for 1 year. My mom was really brave and left her boyfriend, and he was no longer in our lives. We got our own place. When I was in the 9th grade, my mom bought me some paints. I painted a very colorful tree on my closet door. My mom saw it and she believed I had potential. My mom works really hard every day to take care of all of us. She spent a lot of her money on canvases and paints and art supplies for me. I decided to stop using drugs every day and started to do art again, but having paints at home was not enough. I was still tormented by the issues left over from the drugs I took and the hard times we had. I had to be homeschooled for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade to help stay away from the drugs and some bad influences. Emotionally, I was struggling really bad. I was having some panic attacks. This brings us back to New Year's 2014 when I was at Rady's Children's Hospital. During my recovery, I met a social worker named Miss Maria. She talked about a reason to survive and how it would be a good, safe place for me to express myself. So she gave me an application and I signed one part of it, and as soon as I got out of the hospital, my mom and I called arts. And that's when I met Kat, a nice lady who made me feel welcome and safe. At the end of January of this year, my mom and I came in one day to the art center, and when I came to the art center, it was like coming to an art museum. There was a lot of art everywhere with bright, wonderful, warm colors. I felt like I was where I needed to be. My mom and I sat down with Kat in the student gallery with kids' art all over the place. Kat said I should think about becoming an Empower student. So maybe I am good enough. I went back to the hospital once with a panic attack, but I was so mad at myself that I missed classes at arts that I never went back to the hospital again. And I haven't hurt myself since. Being part of A Reason to Survive has made me stay away from the hospital and kept me strong. It's literally given me a reason to survive. Over the last 11 months, I have become an Empower student. I come to the Art Center 4 to 6 days a week, and every time I come to arts, I feel so happy. When I look around, I always find some new art that I haven't spotted before. It's just an amazing feeling. I love being around all these artists that love what I love to do, art. And now I can call those people my friends. Me and my good friend Carla, who I met at Reasons to Survive, have an internship with our mentor Rob. We recently finished a mosaic mural for Borderfield State Park, which is at the Mexican-American border in San Diego. Rob is cool. I learned a lot from him, and he's always there for us when we're having a bad day. He is also an amazing artist. At Arts, I finally realized that I am an artist, too. What really inspires my work is nature and people. I just love landscapes and how beautiful the earth is, and the beauty of people within themselves is amazing. Art to me is a way out of anxiety, depression, and anything bad. Art to me is a healing guide throughout life. Art continues to help me even today to get through my current negativity. Without art and my arts family in my life, I would struggle so much more, and I wouldn't be as healthy as I am today. I have dreams for my life as an artist. My dreams with my art is to really impact people and show them that they can do anything they put their mind to, that you can share your story in all different types of mediums. And I just want to help people see who I really am and who they are through art. At Arts, we talk about my future and about my dreams to go to college, and the possibility of becoming a psychiatric nurse or an art therapist. But I will always stick with my art. I feel like A Reason to Survive gives me stability and confidence. At Arts, I learned so many skills like painting, drawing, clay, mosaic art, and music. With arts in my life, I have hope that my dreams will come true. Thank you.
Didn't she do a great job? You know, it's incredible. We're very honored to be invited here. Even today is part of our process. You know, this of new experiences for Jessica. Yesterday was the first time she was ever on a plane. And now she comes to do public speaking and sharing a very personal story in front of 700 people. And these are skills and building blocks that she can carry with her throughout life, and so we're very, very proud of you. I'd also like to thank Adriana, Jessica's mom, for her support and her strength. You know, we were together last night, and I was overhearing a conversation, and Jessica was telling her mom that she gets her strength from her. And you've raised a very creative and strong woman, and it reflects, because that's what you are. So thank you for all your support and being with us this week at the conference. So that's our program. We hope you are inspired a little bit, hope maybe learn some things you can carry back with you, and to continue fighting the important fight that we're all on. If you ever get frustrated, think of Jessica, because you guys all have Jessicas in your own world. So thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jessica. I am Mark Wolf. I'm your training director with RITAC. I've got a couple of housekeeping things before we send you on your way this afternoon. We hope that you're enjoying your conference. We have a full afternoon planned. But before I go into the couple of housekeeping things that I'm going to go into, I did want to take this opportunity to thank the very many people that helped make this conference possible. Just very briefly, I do want to thank our FISB partners, especially our project officer for RITAC, Gloria Watkins, who couldn't be with us today. I want to thank the RITAC staff, the National Safe Place Network staff, and especially the leadership of those programs. You all know Tammy Hopper, Lori Jackson. They provide a special leadership. I also want to give a special thanks to your RITAC Advisory Board, who has worked very hard in making this conference possible. And then finally, or not finally, but I also want to thank the Conference Planning Committee, who started about 10 months ago working with us, planning this out, deciding workshops, deciding pre-institutes, participating in all of these things. It's been incredible. So this was a huge effort, but certainly worthwhile, and we hope that you're enjoying the experience. But the final group that I want to thank is you. Thank you for your time in coming, but especially thank you for your willingness to so selflessly share your experience and your expertise with one another. Most all of the workshops have been presented by grantees, for grantees. The pre-conference institutes by grantees, for grantees. When I talk to colleagues of mine outside of the runaway and homeless youth field about my experience working with the grantees and how willing they are to share their lessons learned, their experience, their expertise with one another, they usually ask me, well, don't they compete for the same grant monies? And I let them know that yes, they do, but that's just what you're all about, serving others, helping others, including one another. That's what makes it so special. So I want to thank you all for that too. Now on for this afternoon and this evening, lots is planned. There are 2 more workshop sessions this afternoon. One begins at 2 o'clock and the other 3:45. There are also site visits. We're going on site visits to tumbleweeds. And that group that's going on the tumbleweed site visit should remain in the, or meet back here in the ballroom up close to the podium. There'll be 2 buses of tour groups going to tumbleweed. And thanks to Tumbleweed for being so hospitable and allowing us to bring not 1, but 2 groups. Yeah. The other site visit will be to the Heard Museum, the local Native American Museum of Art and History, which is supposed to be phenomenal. That group will meet out in the garden area where breakfast and lunch is served. If you'll meet out there at 2 o'clock is when we want to meet. So the site visit folks going to Tumbleweed right here at 2 o'clock. Those going to the Heard Museum out there. Refer to your programs for where your afternoon workshops will be. And then we're all going to get back together again. Hopefully many of you will be able to get back together again right here in the ballroom for our 6 o'clock movie popcorn night, where we are showing The Home Stretch, which is a documentary following the lives of 3 homeless young people in Chicago and highlights a couple of our grantees in the Chicago area. So if you can make that, that would be, I think, worth your while. And then finally, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, you get to sleep in. Our breakfast isn't until 9 o'clock, but we are going to have breakfast right here, and it is going to be served to you at your table, and we will have our final keynote address at that time, and then send you on your safe way home. So enjoy the rest of your conference experience. Oh, yes, most importantly, thank you, Matt. Jessica is going to be able to remain just a few minutes after. She and her mom are going to need to catch a plane, but she did bring some artwork to display, and it is for sale if you'd be interested. So Jessica is going to be there by her artwork just for the next few minutes. She can't stay very long, so please share her time with your colleagues, and but certainly want you to come up and take a look and meet Jessica. So thank you and have a great afternoon.